This sode would not be possible without the support of our listeners, patrons, and sponsors. If you'd like to find out more about supporting the 3-Bit Gamer Show, head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/3BG. And a Yuletide shout out to the boss level patrons Candied Christopher, Santa's Little Skylar, Sleigh Bell Ringin' Steven, and a Patrick in a Pear Tree. Well, hello. What are you three doing here?
Oh, gaming gifts.
Oh,
gaming gifts. How crazy are your prices? No gaming gifts.
No
gaming gifts. I can't afford your prices. Your GPUs, your VR sets, the Battle Pass,
can't
buy it yet.
Oh,
gaming gifts. Oh, gaming gifts. How crazy are your prices? Merry Christmas!
Merry Gamesmas! Well, man, that was really terrible. Please don't come back to my door.
You've just logged into the 3-Bit Gamer Show. Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
This is Peterson.
And this is Jenna.
Knock, knock. We're here to carol.
You guys love carolers at your door. It's never awkward. They're
always good, so good at singing.
Christmas cheer.
You don't care.
It's yeah.
Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news. All right, our news this week, as with all weeks, is brought to us by Crave Cookies. Crave Cookies is this amazing cookie shop in Utah and Florida for some reason. Those are the two places you can get Crave Cookies.
Dude, just Florida to Utah is like a direct link.
That's
sister city out in
our sister city, Odessa, Florida.
Odessa.
Yeah, it's the sister city of Ogden. Just two cities that are like, does anyone know what we are? Some people do. Go to cravecookies.com. Check out the menu for this week. Trent's, I don't know if we got a theme here, but he's got the strawberry shortcake, which looks amazing. The peanut butter brownie, or the peanut butter brookie, pumpkin cheesecake, cherry Danish. This is one of my favorites. The Magic Congo bar? What the?
This was the one. That's what I did. I looked at it and I was like, what? What is this?
What? This is new. This is like a trail mix cookie. It's graham cracker dough base, semi-sweet chunks, chopped walnuts, shredded coconut, and sweetened condensed milk.
Wait, where does the milk come in? Does he just pour sweetened condensed milk
on top? Look, it's on the fingers of that. His hand.
Oh
model.
my gosh, it is. Is that Trent? Is Trent the hand model?
Sometimes we were.
That looks like Trent's hand.
We were in there the other day, and his mom was modeling, so I think that might be her hand on this peanut butter brookie. You guys getting all sorts of secrets. I actually went in there, and they hooked me up with a piping bag because if you guys aren't in our Discord, I've developed a new hobby for marshmallow making.
Dude, freaking Willy Wonka over here.
Yeah, that's a good descriptor of how I feel when I'm doing this. It is extraordinarily satisfying and whimsical. It's delightful, and it's sticky as hell.
And whimsical.
Peterson, he's been telling everyone about this. I have just been hearing about marshmallows nonstop. Probably more than video games, actually.
Do you like marshmallows as much as he does?
Jenna got so mad when I
Can anyone like marshmallows more than JT though?
That marshmallows are my desert island food, and she looked at me.
He would live off them if possible.
Like he's so excited about this marshmallow thing, and I'm like, how many marshmallows can you eat? I can eat like a few,
like 3, and then it feels like they like inflate in my stomach. I feel so ill, and then I eat one more. But
that's the esophagus one. It inflates in the esophagus.
that's the one to
So,
get me to
you got a little
bed.
room.
That's the one that helps me sleep by lowering my heart rate below 30. Look at Jenna's face.
Until you digest it, then all that sugar hits.
Sugar
and your
melts.
heart rate spikes.
Yeah. My pancreas starts working as intended. Everything balances back out. I rinse it down with a glass of orange juice and I go off to bed. Anyway,
JD's cardiologist is like, what is going on with your heart rate? And he's like, no, use the average. I know it's really low and then it gets really high. Just average it out. And he's like, that's where I'm at.
Can you hear the marshmallow in there right now? Because once that goes away, everything will kind of flatten out. And I do mean
heart
flatten.
rate, sir. And he's like, oh, it's just insulated by the marshmallows. Give it 20 minutes.
I'm like 60% marshmallow at this point. Guys, if you want to be 100% marshmallow, go to cravecookies.com and get your cookie on.
I forgot we were still in the Crave segment.
I told you he's been talking about it more than video games. It's the priority right now.
Dude, you guys are lucky I'm still driving this ship. Discord is offering creators ways to make money through subscription. So buckle up to everyone in our Discord. You guys start slapping leather, motherfuckers.
So we've got the patrons, and then
we double dip
Discord
in your Discord. We're getting paid, bitch. Dude, 5 years on, 300 episodes in, you guys are giving us dough.
Like, here's the thing. I understand like what they're going for, but I also hate it.
I would feel so terrible. Discord is like a patron. Patreon is legitimately like a completely separate side thing set up for one thing and one thing only. To monetize Discord, which is like a community platform, and it's like supposed to be free and nebulous and open to everyone, and you can jump in there anonymously or as you can identify yourself.
I'm sure we've all done it. Like, you're like, I know JD's done it. I've done it with like a video game that you're like, a little indie game.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little thing that's like, join our Discord. You click on it, you hop in. Now, what if you clicked on that and they were like, all right, here, if you want to see the creator messages, you have to pay.
So we'll give some details on this really quick. The subscriptions can range anywhere from $3, and this is why I was laughing, $3 to $200 in price. I guess for a lot of maybe like female streamers that have some of those types of fans, they could get a $200 subscription in their Discord.
Just another way to get the dudes to pony up.
Yeah, like Belle Delphine could probably get a couple in at the $200 price. And then creators are retaining 90% of these funds. Just briefly, the tiers they've got here, tier 1, 2, and 3 priced at $3, $5, and $10 a month respectively. Tier 1 is a exclusive monthly video and unlocks access to features in a server like creating public threads. Oh, this is an example of someone's servers.
Yeah.
So you could just set up an example or set up your own tiers and stuff, just like Patreon, but they want you to do it through Discord. So Discord can take 10% of the earnings. I don't like this. I think it's weird. Stick to Patreon. It exists.
I will never pay for a Discord. I'll never pay for access to Discord channel.
I paid
ever.
Discord like $5-10 a month as part of our Discord server to like boost it so it's cooler and we can have our own emojis and stuff, which I love. Actually, I think I did that exclusively for our own emojis. Oh no, it's because I wanted our emojis to be animated. We had emojis before, but I wanted us to have animated emojis. So important stuff.
Very important.
I paid that willingly and happily. I was like, that's exactly what I want to give Discord money for. Like, that's great. That's cool.
Make the app cooler. Give people
made
upgrades.
The app cooler.
Yeah.
Made our community a little spicier. Like, that's fun. Charging people to make your community, I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Whatever. I mean, you don't have to use it.
I'm gonna start my personal one, If you want a game with me,
Oh my God.
$3 a month.
$3? Why you been charging me $5 all these years? What the hell, Peterson?
Oh no! I mean, no. That's a different. That's a.
You said every friend had those fees.
That's the friend fee.
The friendship fee.
That's a completely
Peterson said
different
this was totally
service.
normal. What the fuck? Activision Blizzard has picked up its second union in Blizzard Albany QA. This is my favorite shit because I remember way back when, like 4 years ago, Peterson would always wax poetic about how Blizzard was asking, the game industry in general was asking for unions. And now they're getting them. But what was always funny is the stories we were always seeming to talk about that would trigger Peterson to say that was about a single department. And it was QA.
QA.
Dude, the check has come due. And it is with the exact people you are mistreating the worst. They're the first to unionize. This is exactly what Peterson said would fucking happen. He's been saying it forever because he works with unions every fucking day. Why did anyone listen to Peterson?
Dude, the Matrix listened. It knew it was like, oh, we're going that route. Let's do it.
Dude.
Yeah, it's
exactly what you said would happen 4, 5, 6 years ago, which is to tell me that any like game industry or just any general business expert could have predicted this, and they just didn't do anything about it. It was more important to them to mistreat QA employees to other employees in their own company. That was like to create like a frat house feel with the underclassmen for some fucking reason. That was more important than actually like avoiding. Now you have a fucking union. Now you have 2 unions. You stupid assholes.
Yeah, dude, the floodgates are opening. I'm telling you, because not only in the gaming industry, but you're seeing it in just so many industries, people trying to unionize.
Yep.
The floodgates are starting to open, and they're trickling in. And the other, I mean, we could get on and on about this, but the other reason why is, as we've seen, you've seen wild inflation over the last couple of years, and you have not seen any salaries raised to match it.
Nope.
You've seen companies with record profits,
and they brag about them.
Who have
while they're doing layoffs in the same fucking
laying
breath.
people off, not giving raises because things are going tough. You've seen CEOs with that golden parachute getting kicked out of the company for like $40 million. Meanwhile, you're paying people, $9.50 an hour.
It's like people are setting themselves up to be part of the Blursties or something.
They love it. They love it.
They just I love the concept
of CEOs being so that valuable, like that obscenely valuable. Because like when you think about they're being treated and they're being paid in the same way that professional athletes are being paid. Professional athletes who are in their own sport, some of the best in the entire world at it. These CEOs who consistently fail and fuck upwards all the time should, by those same metrics, they should be stepping into a business, and it should literally be like Tony Stark in the MCU, like hand waving, just magically doing things and improving technologies, and within 2 weeks there's like a new like generator running the whole building that they operate out of, and they're providing clean energy to like half the city, and they've got like 6 business models and like all this other shit. That is what CEOs should be doing for the pay that they're making.
Instead, you know what they do?
They keep getting fired for
They hire consultants. Who are the experts. And they do pay them a lot of money.
But not that much.
The CEO is not, I mean, honestly, can you say any CEO that is creating that amount of value?
No, because that is impossible. It's not like a human thing. Like I was saying, like if you're really good at a sport, hell, you're not even the best person at that sport. You're the best person at that position at best.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady is not the best person at catching a football in the NFL by a significant margin.
Throw him on the line, he'll be the worst guy on the line.
Any other position. He's like 50. You think he could run more than like 10 yards without dying?
He pulls a hammy if he tries to kick that ball once.
Dude, the guy has a very specific skill set, and the thing CEOs are like these gigantic generalists that can fix every aspect of from a company, from its finance to its personnel to its legal issues. Is fucking insane.
Yeah, they can fix it by hiring a consulting agency to come and tell them what they're supposed to do. That's literally all they do.
The CEO should make exactly like the same flat rate as all the VPs that he's coordinating, because they're doing all the fucking work.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yep. So anyway, sorry, we got off the tangent, but like, congrats to this QA.
This is Blizzard Albany, and they will be represented by CWA, the Communication Workers of America. So it's not like a little dinky thing. Like, they're going to be going into negotiations. And lest we remind you guys, because if you've forgotten, Blizzard Activision has not been acquired yet.
No,
they are not fighting this because their whole hope is that Microsoft will acquire them.
Microsoft it's their problem.
So there's a chance here that Activision Blizzard sits on their hands and just doesn't really fight back. They were fighting this, not to discredit all the scummy anti-union shit that Blizzard was up to. They did fight this, but I do think that they're just letting this happen, thinking, well, it's a Microsoft problem. They could end up with, by the time the Microsoft deal blows up in July, they have 10 goddamn unions. The company will just be like limping along. No one will want to acquire that. Who would want to pick that up? The only person on the planet at that point would be Elon Musk. Could be like, sweet, yeah, video game company dying. I could fix this. I'm fucking genius.
This just in. Blizzard Albany's QA department has just been shut down and moved to San Antonio or wherever.
India.
I'm predicting this is the next step. So they'll unionize. They're going through union contract negotiations. Mid that, Blizzard, who's not known for making great decisions, is going to be like, we've been planning on shutting these guys down all along.
Yeah,
like,
it has nothing to do with
coincidence.
The union, we promise.
They're going to get dissolved, or they'll get moved. Look, okay, we won't dissolve QA in Albany. We just won't do it there anymore. These guys can stay. They're just going to move to different departments. So they'll essentially dissolve it, and then the subsequent lawsuit from the NLRB. So that's next stage. I'm calling it right now. That's next step.
That'll be fun to watch. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, they'll probably lose that lawsuit unless they can show that they have been planning on getting rid of their QA department for years or something, or at least a year. No, they'll lose that lawsuit. It'll be a huge mess. So still a fight. I think there's still a fight for the unionization efforts. But that's, I think this is, like I said, floodgates, first step. I think it can be tough working with the union. I have to do it all the time. But you reap what you sow, you know what I mean? And it's not just the companies sucking. It is politicians sucking. It is everything going in a direction that's pointing us to unions
20 years ago. And that does trickle down, I guess. But yeah, it's
everything's pointing to unionization. We'll look in 80 years, they'll look back at this time during this rejuvenation of the labor unions. I think that's what is happening.
And I think they'll find it as surprising that we do that. The gaming companies should have been able to read the writing on the wall on this one.
Oh my gosh!
And
are you kidding me?
Yeah,
they're headquartered. Like a vast majority of them are headquartered in very liberal areas.
Oh yeah,
and they're treating their employees like crap. Like, come on!
No,
they're
only in big cities. Big cities, and so like that's exactly the problem. Is like you could only get away with this for so long, and they did get away with it for a long time, but it was like not just that. They couldn't just be like, okay, we're gonna underpay our employees and just like really not give them any sort of reason to continue working here. But on top of that, we're gonna mistreat them, and we're gonna make subclasses among them to encourage mistreatment as just like a cultural thing. Yeah. It's just like, maybe let's just keep pushing as hard as we can for honestly no fucking reason beyond underpaying people. mistreating them serves no purpose. In fact,
None.
You can get away with underpaying people a lot more and for a lot longer if you don't mistreat them, because they're like, well, fuck, at least I'm not being mistreated.
Like, you give them perks. Like, if they love their job,
yes,
they'll statistically stay longer.
I've been there. I've been in that situation multiple times, like a dumb shit. You paid half of what I'm worth because at least I'm not getting abused.
I love this.
Yeah.
I'm fun at work. I like going.
So,
but no, for some reason, the QA, they're just like, ugh.
And it's all QA. So we're going to continue seeing this reap what you sow, like Peterson said. And I can guarantee you it's always going to start with QA departments because they're the ones that have the most motivation. In fact, this vote went 14-0. So it was a complete sweep on this vote because they were all like, yeah, obviously this is, they are putting these workers in a position where it's not like maybe the grass is greener. It's like the grass has to be greener because it is so bad here. It literally
we don't even have grass at this point anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing left. We're playing
you
soccer
guys got grass
on a concrete. A concrete reminds me of when Jackson coached or when Jackson taught at the saddest school of all time. It was a charter school that was in a strip mall, and their their playground was in a parking lot.
Oh no!
Yeah, so like soccer
that sounds awful
on like blacktop, and that's what they've made this. And they're like,
this is those South American countries with like the tiny little village with every little kid is amazing at soccer, and you look and they're all playing on this like dusty field.
Yeah, except for no like real talent at sports, just a lot of the same malnutrition and illness and like mistreatment, but none of the good sports.
Anyway. It's just one more just sub point.
Mm-hmm.
Unions the other way. Unions. This is, like I said, they'll kind of open the floodgates because if they're just QA unionizing, that's called a micro union, and they will use that as a tactic to unionize the whole site. They'll say, "Well, we've got the union at this site already." So that is an automatic in some instances for them to. Yeah. Just go straight to a vote for the rest of the people. That's a tactic they use to get in. This is like easy in for the union.
Is wait for one cycle of raises, and they talk to one QA employee and say, hey, what did your union negotiate for you this year? They say 10-15%. And they look at their own
contracts
shit.
Are online. Yeah. You can go look.
Oh, well, there you go. That's even easier. You don't have
and be like,
talk.
You guys get this?
Because we got a 2.5% raise and a Jelly of the Month club, and that's what we got.
Yeah.
So good luck to Blizzard. I hope they just get hope the whole place turns into the #1 union shop in America. Just like magic, China has declared the issue of children's video game addiction has been resolved. Poof!
It's cured. We did it.
Just like that.
And you know what? The kids are happier,
healthier.
They don't even want video games. In fact, so many kids don't even know what they are.
They're kind of anti-opium. It's kind of like they kind of get sick when they even think about it at this point. It's like a Clockwork Orange kind of a deal. Fixed it. They're fixed.
When a country like China puts out like data and statistics, or we did a study and look, it's solved. Like, I don't know. I believe them 0%.
Yes, less than 0. This is from China's Game Industry Group Committee that released a report on Tuesday that found that 70% of minors played less than 3 hours of games a week.
Yeah, because it's illegal.
Minors' gaming addiction has basically been resolved.
You did it. Fixed
Wait,
the
it's
problem.
illegal, but they've only gotten it down 70%. Imagine that, dude. That's fucking wild.
Dude, living on the edge, just
I guess maybe that's not that wild. What is the percentage of U.S. teenagers who smoke weed? 15%. You guys have worse fucking rate of that. You have double the fucking rate of U.S. teenagers smoking pot, and you guys are calling this basically cured? Imagine if we had 2x how many teens are smoking weed, and we're like, dude, this is great. This is great. You guys call this motherfucking spiritual opium. If I'm not mistaken, the U.S. has fought no colonial wars over marijuana. We have not had like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people's lives ruined over marijuana. But maybe, wait, I take that all back. We have. So maybe we're not that bad. Maybe we're not that different.
We're the same.
We're
the same as you.
we're just like a different side of the ocean. I think that's crazy.
Gaming,
They're saying
marijuana.
70% of minors played less than 3 hours a game a week. Any more of that than that, as Peterson mentioned, is illegal. So only 30% of Chinese teenagers said, fuck the Chinese government and their laws. We will continue to do whatever we want. And China's like, A+, let's start pumping out games again. Let's get that spiritual opium flowing through their veins once more.
Well, yeah, because this committee that they have just started, the China's Game Industry Group Committee, their work is complete. So now they have to job security. Let's get more games out there again, and then we can lower those numbers again. And so, what's his face, Jinping, whatever his name is, president,
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh looking guy.
Winnie the Pooh will praise us. That 30%, I guarantee, includes all of their children, though.
Oh, absolutely.
All of the elites.
And they're like, oh, yeah, that's party leadership children. That's totally fine.
They're not addicted, dude. They just love it, and they do it all the time.
They're just using my login because I let them, because I know they're a good kid. They're one of the good ones.
But all these other kids, garbage humans.
Dude, this is also, I mean, this is a clear push from the party who just looked at their coffers and were like, how do we get more money? Because looks like there's a lot of American companies trying to move their factories out of China because we keep fucking things up. Oh, yeah, we'll just make video games again. That's easy. We'll just start making video games again. Yeah. So another part of this push, the People's Daily, this is the Communist Party's official newspaper. A couple of weeks ago, they had published an opinion piece that said the gaming industry could, quote, support the development of advanced technologies and play a more important role enhancing the global influence of Chinese culture. Cool. So basically back to where they were before, 2-3 years ago, the same shit they were pitching. I like the capricious nature of the Chinese Communist Party. Just kind of mixing it up. They're keeping shit fresh. Like a mall kiosk manager that just comes in one day and she's fucking pissed, and you're rearranging that whole display. You don't know why. Oh, you're gonna have to put it back the other way the next weekend. But she just mixing it up. Once the new
stuff comes in, they're like, "Oh, we got this new layout. Doesn't make sense anymore."
Dude, Kirsten knows what she's fucking talking about. She's in charge, and if you say one more word, you're fired 2 weeks before Christmas. You want that shit?
Did you also see this where it said the time spent by children in 10-cent games has plummeted since the regulation change and was down 92%?
Oh, there you go. They did cure those kids. 10-cent kids got cured.
10-cent really took the hit, as we talked about. And 10 cents, they said. So I do think there was some funny business going on behind the scenes here, because 10-cent is now saying, we are now fully compliant with the Chinese regulations, and now they are expected to make more licenses in the future.
A handful of executives at 10-cent just pissed off the Chinese ruling party.
I really think that's what happened.
And they got slapped. And this was a power flex. This whole fucking thing we've been reporting on for a year and a half was just
10-cent got too cocky because they were making $1 billion a week,
just wiggling his little belly in his crop top shirt. And just telling you how much you better slap honey. You better cross his palm with honey, motherfucker.
That's the only currency he understands.
HUNNY. Pay up, motherfucker. And having learned nothing, Sony and Microsoft are both racing to get back into the Chinese gaming market. I guess we shouldn't have seen this. Shouldn't be surprised by this at all. Two gaming companies that were burned over the last year and a half. I guess less so than a lot of gaming publishers, which were burned much more so when China just said nope. But yeah, Sony and Microsoft are both really trying to push big into the Chinese gaming market. The whole thing, from what I can understand, is they're chasing the unexpected growth and success of Genshin Impact.
Everybody wants that Genshin Impact.
Genshin Cash. It's like Fortnite in China, the way it's taken off there. In fact, I would say it's probably taken off even quicker. Same concept, cross-platform. Mobile is driving a lot of the growth and the money spending. But Sony and Microsoft feel, and this is how they're investing, that all they need to do is just seed a bunch of cash into smaller studios, and maybe they'll hit a Genshin Impact.
Maybe they'll get one.
It's kind of the same thing that Embracer Group is doing at an international level with, you look at like Iron Gate, you look at things like Valheim that take off, Goat Simulator that come out of fucking nowhere. You're just seeding these and then just seeing what picks up and seeing what takes off, and then you're funding that, and then you're just cashing in. For Sony,
at this point, China controls the zeitgeist because of TikTok. So
yeah, that's
they're
true.
really, really trying to just flow some of that cash over to China's direction, so they can influence a TikTok trend in your game, which means every 11 to 16-year-old kid will talk about it and play it nonstop. And I'm not joking. I feel like that's a real thing because they are all supremely influenced by TikTok right now.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is that China could be exerting a lot more soft power internationally if they weren't so caught up in all their weird power play bullshit internally. Especially with, this fucking Winnie the Pooh guy who just won his third quote unquote won his third election as general secretary or whatever.
Landslide victory.
Which wasn't supposed to be able to, and he had a and I think this may be part of that because he was tightening a lot of screws on people throughout the party to make this move, to make sure that he had the support to do this, basically kind of like Putin did a couple years ago, basically solidifying that I'm here for life, I'm president for life, and you guys can all just fuck off and deal with that.
Can I just say that I hate this article not because of the contents written. Of the article.
It's very poorly written.
Font. Can you see the font? What font are they using?
I don't know.
I can't even look at it, JD. This is on Reuters too.
Yeah.
This isn't like some 3-bit website.
Yeah, seriously.
This is Reuters, and I can't look at it. The font looks like when you type the sarcastic font with like capital, lowercase, capital, lowercase. That's what it looks like too. Anyway, sorry. I don't try to look at this.
I mean, I think this is this article may be a translation. Long story short, outside of the China rant, Sony is just investing like $1 million yuan, which is like $140,000, in a bunch of these smaller studios, just to identify and incubate them. It's called the China Game Production Team. And Microsoft's building a team to scout for Chinese games, and they're trying to woo independent developers. Just for context, since like opening up and starting to sell PlayStation consoles in China, Sony sold 3.5 million PS4s and 670,000 PS5s since they launched in China in May of last year. So we're talking a year and a half, and they're already looking at over 4 million new PlayStation customers. So this is a smart move. This does seem a little less like, Blizzard prostrating themselves in front of China and just saying, tell us what to do. This does seem like they're just trying to put their fingers in everyone's pie.
Well, I mean, like it or not, China is the largest emerging economy in the world. So they're the number one.
India's creeping
economy.
up on them, though, dude. That's the thing.
It's China, India, Brazil are the three like emerging economies, and China is a gigantic market.
But they're the worst of those three to work with.
Oh, they suck. Yeah, they absolutely
and they're
suck.
like, they can just with the snap of a finger destroy your industry, which I know Brazil's historically been very corrupt, especially, for businesses to work with. And India's got its own issues. But for China, it's like these crazy power moves that will, like we've seen, shut down industries. And they've done it, and they will continue to do it. And they do it openly and brazenly, and they don't give a shit. So when you see those other markets emerging, I mean, why don't you just start looking at those other ones? You're like, fuck, do I have to deal with this shit in China? I think China's playing a risky game as other areas become a lot more influential.
They're more inviting, that's for sure.
Yeah. In the most Nintendo way possible, Nintendo has acknowledged that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are filled with bugs.
Like, we all know this because we've seen the images, you've seen the reviews.
Just the glitchy, breaking, everything.
Lots of bugs.
But my Nintendo has said nothing about this. Game Freak, the publishers and developers of the Nintendo or the Pokemon series, they haven't said shit either. So this is buried in the 1.10 release notes for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on the Nintendo.com customer support site. It's buried in these release notes. It says, quote, "We are aware that players may encounter issues that affect the game's performance. Our goal is always to give players a positive experience within our games, and we apologize for the convenience. We take the feedback from players seriously and are working on improvements to the games."
Normal game companies put that in a tweet.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of put that out there. It's not hidden in the support game notes on how to update
Literally
Pokemon
hidden.
Scarlet and Pokemon
It's
Violet.
in the middle of it, and it's not easy to find. And normal game companies would probably give some sort of plan or call out a specific thing, but it just says encountered issues, and then they're like, we don't want you to have issues, and we're sorry, and we're working on it. That is the most vague. Like if you put a gun to my head and you're like, make this statement say less, I'd be like, I can't. It's the most meaningless statement there is.
Less.
I can't. It is there. It's the most empty, pointless shit. It says next to nothing. It uses a huge amount of words to say nothing at all. Basically, I hope these games are playable soon. I hope. Well, I'm sure they're playable, and I understand that a lot of the things being reported are being, I wouldn't say blown out of proportion, but being elevated a lot more, like online. Like, people aren't going to post 100 hours of the game working perfectly, but you have a funny glitch, and that's going to be seen 1,000 million times. I get that,
and I mean, I will say it is and I don't know. Again, I'm not a developer. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it does seem like a bigger miss when a game that is, I would say, pretty simplistic and pretty formulaic has bugs. There's no crazy graphics for them to really deal with.
Yeah.
There's not even really a change in graphics from other games they've done. They've done the formula many, many times, maybe added some features or something like that, but there shouldn't be major bugs in a game like this.
Well, this one is a newer take. From what I understand, this is a new platform they're building on that I think borrows from the previous one, Arceus, but I think you're right. It's still building. It's not completely new.
Right.
So
yeah, we shouldn't have these bugs. Like you said, Nintendo doesn't love to acknowledge in like a big game release that's buggy.
Yeah.
Like this, like a Pokemon game. So yeah, this is, like you said, the most Nintendo way to acknowledge a bugs issue ever.
I think that, I guess maybe especially I'm coming back to your point about an annual release. Dude, even if it is a new thing and they're taking a new crack at it, you just don't have. I just don't think they have the leeway at this point, because you've been releasing the same crappy game. It's just a reskin, and then you try something new. Like, the patience is out. The patience is gone. That one's got to be a banger too, because you're just releasing these annually. It's just like the new Call of Duty Warzone 2.
Yeah,
like that game's not like broken.
Mm-mm.
And it is fairly kind of a new take on a Call of Duty game. I mean, I know it's the second Warzone game, but if that game came out and it was just like fundamentally broken, everyone would be like, what the fuck? You guys have already done this one.
this isn't even different from the other one, really.
Like, what are you doing, you guys? That like it should work. And the same thing like with Overwatch 2. When it came out, it works, and everyone plays it, and it's not broken. And there's like little things like, oh, I can't play May, but it fucking works. I don't know. I think
Right.
this is so inexcusable just because of the history in the game of this series, what it is, and it's just like, gosh, you can't be blowing it 30 years on.
Kudos.
All right, kudos is our positivity segment. I'd like to give a shout out to something we're loving. I'd like to bring up the tone of the show after some negative news. I will just go start really quick. I'd like to give a shout out, like last week, to the Utah Utes, who,
Dude,
against all odds, just beat the ever-loving shit out of USC for the second time this season. Sorry,
this
Trojans.
one was even bigger beatdown. It was like it was a picking them apart, literally like destroying their morale.
Oh yeah,
and their physicality.
Uh-huh. It was a beatdown. It wasn't just like we won a game.
Really
it was completely demoralized the team. The losing team didn't stay on the field at all to shake hands. They was crying. It was a mess.
Oh, they were poor sports.
They were
the
absolutely
poor
too. Sports. They were such crazy baby bitches. But the Utes just stomped them. We're on our way to the Rose Bowl. Who we playing? Some crap team.
Penn.
Oh, no way, really?
Penn State or something like that. Yeah,
that's funny because didn't we play them in the? I say we didn't. The Utes played them. Yeah, Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl 2005.
That was Pitt. That was Pitt.
Pitt. How did you remember that?
Because I literally made that same mistake. Because my mother-in-law was a huge Utes fan. She told me, she's like, "Oh yeah, they're playing Penn." I was like, "Didn't they play them in the Fiesta Bowl?"
Yeah,
like 15 years ago.
And it was so lame because we were ranked like 5th in the nation. They were like 17th. And
it was not a good game.
Trounced them. Yeah, we did a hook and ladder. That's where the
I went to that game. I went. To that game
I was in that game too. Maybe
dude,
that was our first meeting.
Our shoulders, our hands touched on accident.
Do you think? Though? What if though?
Jenna's face right now.
What if like we brushed against each other and someone's like, "Are you okay, John?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just felt something."
No, that was crazy.
Something just weird.
I felt that same feeling again years later when I met JD in Seattle for a.
I was just looking at the pictures from that, and I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy from the Fiesta Bowl."
Those feelings cropped up all over again.
I'm having those feelings again. They're coming back.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, do you guys have kudos?
I have a quick one, just a really quick one. I know Jenna has a couple. I don't get a lot of really good sushi in Utah. I know people in Salt Lake, they're like, "Oh, there's some good sushi places."
Mm.
We were driving north. We were in the Bountiful area. Centerville. I never know what city. You could say Centerville, and I never know where it is ever.
Sounds like a made-up city. Sounds like a Hollywood city, like from a movie.
It's in the middle. It's in the center of something. But we were in Centerville, and we were trying to find a restaurant, and my kids were like, "Oh, there's a Chili's. Let's go to Chili's." And I do not want to go to Chili's. So we pull in, and then I look through. The trees parted in the wind, and there was a tiny little sign for a sushi place that called Fuji Sushi. And I was like, I didn't even look it up. I was like, no, we're going to go there.
That's better than Chili's. 100%.
Yes. So we went, and much to my delight, this tiny little sushi place in like a grocery store parking lot type of thing was incredible. They had an incredible menu. The sushi we got was not only very well prepared. They had 2 sushi chefs back there just constantly working, very well prepared, but well presented. And we got 3 different rolls and then some other stuff. And it was honestly phenomenal sushi. But the thing that really sold me, and this seems weird, I know, but I was like, kind of near the end, I was like, oh man, I need something warm. I was like, hey, can I just get a small cup of miso soup? And it was legitimately the best miso soup I've ever had in my life.
Dude,
I took a bite and I was like,
amazing.
because miso's like very kind of plain,
Yeah.
I took a bite and I like looked up and I was like, Kelsey, you got to try this. This is so good. This miso soup is so good. It was that good. So it's a place I will definitely go back to because again, I have a tough time finding like good sushi. That's not all like really samey out here. And to put that in perspective, the best sushi that I found in my area is Smith's, which is not
grocery
bad
store.
sushi, but it's very like average sushi, right? Like there's nothing special going on. So Fuji Sushi was surprisingly good. Everything was. If you're ever passing through Centerville, you probably don't know where you are, but if you find yourself in Centerville, don't go to Chili's ever again. Stop going to Chili's. Don't ever go there. We want them to
you
go
can
to
microwave
business
your
as soon as
own food,
possible.
folks.
You can put the Southwest flavoring on everything just like they do.
Yeah, they sell it all in your grocery store. The same things they're cooking there, you can microwave it on your own. And you don't have to have a disaffected teenager drop it on your table.
Go to Fuji Sushi,
You
not
can.
Chili's.
You can still have a teen do it, but it'll be cheaper if you do it at home.
Honestly, if they announced next week that Chili's and Applebee's, all these places are completely shutting down, going out of business, closing all locations,
yeah,
I would be so happy.
Dude, when they kept running those articles, they're like, "Oh, millennials are killing these restaurants." I'm like, "Good," because it's not
This
like
is
there's
honestly
some
my
American
favorite thing about
institution.
millennials.
It's not like they're fucking NASA. You boomers put together these shit restaurants so you guys could get rich on people's terrible palates. And then you get all sad when your shit franchises go under because millennials are like, ew, I don't want to eat that. I grew up eating that. It's disgusting. Why did mom and dad keep taking me there?
All the meat is always dry. Why is it so dry?
And the restaurant's solution to like losing their customers are like, let's just make the food cheaper and shittier.
Or make it worse and charge just a little bit more.
Why isn't this working? No, fuck those restaurants.
The one chain, like restaurant chain, that I would really be sad if it went out of business, and you'll probably laugh.
White Castle.
No. That's fast food. Fast food's different. I never want fast food to go out of business.
No.
I want more. No, Red Robin.
Red Robin.
Dude, I love it. I don't know what it is. I worked at Red Robin for a few years after high school, and I never... you work at a place and you're like, I hate this place. I'm never eating there again. Not Red Robin for me. I love it.
When you're like suspicious that you're allergic to something and the doctor scratches like 50 times on your body and then marks it if you have an allergic reaction. Uh-huh. I could do that for every single substance known to man and yet nothing. They'd be like, you're not allergic to anything. But I go to Red Robin, there's something in that seasoning. And it like activates my gag reflex. I like the burgers on paper sound good. You like look at them and you're like, yeah, all these toppings seem. But I get one bite and my teeth aren't even like they don't even meet before my body's reacting. It's like, get this fucking vile shit out of us. I don't care how. Get us out of the restaurant entirely. It smells bad. No, it's terrible, and it's not a genetic thing. My sister loves their like fries and shit. It's just there's something at fucking Red Robin that does not match with me. They can go. Red Robin can fuck right off. That place sucks.
That's Cafe Rio and their lettuce for me. Ugh. I like all their stuff, but their lettuce, my stomach refuses to digest it.
Do they dry age it before they fucking serve it?
I don't know what they're doing.
Brown or no go.
I can't digest it anyway.
If it's not brown, throw it in the microwave first for a minute. That's how they
stop. We can't stop.
Oh, okay. So here's what happens in detail. Jenna, you've got some kudos. Let's do those.
Thank you. Good segue, folks. I'd like to give a shout out to Skylar for for donating to Tap Cancer Out. Thank you very much. Tap Cancer Out, in case you haven't already been annoyed by me bringing this up, is a fundraiser nonprofit organization that donates to 10 other cancer-related charities. Everything from supporting cancer families to cancer research, all that good stuff. And I believe it's pinned in the Discord channel if you want to check out and donate to my team's page. I will be grappling, for an hour straight on December 17th in honor of those who have fought and are fighting cancer. So wish me luck on that. And then we have a joint kudos, I guess, Jonathan and I, because we both enjoyed this. I would like to give a shout out to Peterson for sharing fish from Alaska.
Yes.
I finally made a dish and it was perfect. It was a perfect amount of fish.
You used halibut, right?
Yeah. And it was so amazing. So thank you so much.
Kudos to Jenna for making fried fish tacos in our air fryer for the first time, crushing it with these halibut things, making her own taco tortillas from scratch, from flour, and God knows what else goes into them. I imagine water plays some sort of role. But yeah, they were amazing. It was just
flour and lard, baby.
Ooh,
just kidding.
There's lard. I was telling her it looked like if you guys go to Costa Vida when they're rolling them all out, that's exactly what they looked like. And then she fried them up and served.
So I don't use lard. I use butter. Much better.
Yeah.
Much butter.
You don't have to use lard.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, well, I have one last quick foodos. If you guys saw in the Discord, I shared this, but those mini chips they have now, they're called minis. They have Sun Chips and Doritos and Cheeto balls.
Yes, and there's one other.
And they come in a Pringles tube, and they are phenomenal. I was playing a very complicated tabletop game and setting it all up, and I had munchies and I wanted chips. And even the really cool snappers that Peterson gave us, of which I have a pair right here.
Oh yeah.
That you can eat snacks without using your fingers. Even those aren't a match to basically holding up a tube and just being able to drink chips.
Pouring it in.
I can drink chips. They finally figured it out. We are maybe 2 steps away from a literal feed bag at this point. You could strap this up. You could totally feed bag this thing.
You can figure it out.
Yeah, we are in terms of the size and the consistency of these chips, we are in feedback territory. They're amazing. So they're just called minis. Look for them in your Smiths, probably.
Listener. Questions. Leaning on you to plan another lazy show. Yeah, listener. Questions. Answers are the only way, yeah. Listeners, this game's not new, 'cause now you have the answer to listener questions. How to change this line to keep our sponsors. Listener questions. What you gonna do when we answer you now?
It's the soul that we all share. It's the hope for tomorrow.
Questions.
All right. We got some listener questions. You guys did it. You came through. A lot of peer pressure, a lot of shaming.
I threatened a couple people, honestly. So
yeah, I felt very Jim Jones about the whole thing.
I'll do that. Yeah,
just a lot of peer pressuring people into doing things they weren't like gonna do without my pressure. So appreciate you guys for caving to that. We got some really good questions. So I'll just start with this first one. This one came from Garrett Bracken on our Discord. And Garrett asked, okay, here's my question. You have the opportunity to visit your 12-year-old self. What games were you playing at the time? And what games did you show to yourself as something to look forward to? Genuinely, this is one of my favorite listener questions of all time. Did you struggle with this as much as me, Peterson?
No, but this is the one I think I spent the most time thinking about. Like in my off time when I wasn't like actively sitting there writing.
Yeah. I'm like, what would really impress 12-year-old me? Like,
first I started off looking at, okay, when I was 12, that was 1994. What would I have been playing at the time?
Jenna was 1.
Oh, shut up.
by the way.
So what would me and Jenna have been playing?
I don't know. Keep her head up so it doesn't flop over.
Yeah, Jenna. Yeah, hold the head
Support
up.
her head. Support her neck. That's what
pat the
game
back
would be.
so she can get the burpees out.
Stop it.
Maybe tickling something. That's about as far as any game's gonna go. When you're
So
one.
I was 12. So here's what I would have been playing at the time. Myst was out around that time.
Okay.
Return to Zork, and I've talked about that one before.
Okay.
NBA Jam.
Okay.
On the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Warcraft 1. So these are the games I would have been playing at that time. Honestly, probably a lot of Warcraft and NBA Jam with my friends.
Okay.
So to kind of, I was thinking, okay, what would I want to tell my 12-year-old self about? Here's the thing. You could tell them about, you could show them, like, look how dope games are going to be in 2020, 2022. That's mean. Honestly, that's kind of mean because you'd be like, hey, check this out. You want to see what games are going to be like in like 25 years?
Yeah.
That's messed up. So I was thinking I would show myself games from like 5 years in the future to get me real pumped. StarCraft. I would have shown myself StarCraft because I was playing Warcraft 1 a lot.
Yeah.
And if I would have seen StarCraft, I would have pooped my pants.
Just
with Jenna. Me and Jenna, because Jenna was 1
she was
year
one.
old.
Everyone's pooping their pants. Yeah.
Or she had, and then her, and then the other one, dude. You want to play games with your friends and you want them to look good and play well. I would have shown myself Halo, which was coming out only a few short years later. But think of how stoked you would be if you knew about Halo beforehand and you were looking forward to it for a few years.
Yeah.
And you were just like, yes. So, or the other route, I took this another route. I would troll 12-year-old Peterson.
Yeah.
And show him a game and
Goat
be like,
Simulator.
this is from 2022.
Show him Goat
Now,
Simulator.
would it be some stupid pixelated game? And he'd be like,
you know how you
graphics are
troll
the
him?
same?
Is show him Fortnite. And for a child, a 1994 12-year-old to see Fortnite, they'd probably start having a seizure at that very moment.
Dude, no, because then I would have been asking my parents for V-Bucks. I wouldn't even know what it meant.
You would just
Like,
know
Dad,
you
can I get
needed
some
them.
V-Bucks? And they're like, shut up about
Shut up the
V-Bucks.
fucking V-Bucks.
We don't even know that doesn't exist.
We don't even have credit cards to pay them.
You got V-Bucks?
Credit card still uses that like clunk machine that just makes a paper imprint on a carbon paper.
The little wax paper
Yeah.
thing? Yeah.
Dude, my
What was your take?
This is why I think this is like my favorite question ever, because my perspective on this, 5-6 years later, is so drastically different. So I'm 12 in between June of 2000 and June of 2001, and so the PlayStation 2 I think was out, but the main game I was playing on that, especially when I was younger, was GTA 3, and that didn't come out till October. So 12-year-old JD was exclusively on Dreamcast. That was it. Just Dreamcast. I had the main in that time, because I got it in 1999. I didn't get my PS2 until 2003. So yeah, I was at this point, June of 2001, the Dreamcast was already proclaimed dead, and I was picking up mad games for super cheap, used at like Software Etc. and stuff. So I was playing a shit ton of Dreamcast. I feel like in 2001, and Peterson, tell me what your thoughts are on this. I feel like we could see the future of games much more clearly than in 1994. Because
And I think partially because they were talking about it a lot more. Like, video games are going to get a lot more realistic.
Yeah,
The
we
graphics
saw
are going to get better. We were starting to
graphics,
see that technology.
we saw the networking, we saw the multiplayer features, we saw memory expanding greatly. We just saw a lot of different games, and I think so I don't feel like you would feel like, oh, I'm gonna spoil myself, because the 90s was a wild time, and to look past all the game development that happened during that time would be kind of a shame. Into like the early stuff, you'd just be like, oh, That's lame. However, in 2001, we were just a couple years out from what you were talking about, dude. Halo. We were like 2 or 3 years out of Halo there. We were a month or two away from GTA 3. So the concept of open world games, open world city sims, that stuff.
Dude.
So, like I said, the future was then, and we could see. So it was a lot harder for me to think of games that would blow me away, because the games that blow me away today blow me away because of all of the context and things that I know about games, and I know what they've built on. So one of the first thoughts I had was like, what if I walked my 12-year-old self through Valheim?
Honestly, that a game like that would be freaking incredible.
Would that blow
back
your
then.
fucking mind? Just the open. I think when I would like
Oh.
zoom out on the map and show myself, because with like GTA 3, it
Maybe
seemed so
grow
massive.
yourself as a gamer though, because your expectations would be so high you could never play video game again until year 2022.
Well, that's what Peterson was saying. He didn't want to ruin it for himself. I don't know if this would spoil it for me, though. I think you're right. I would be very sad for 20 plus years. I'd be like, oh. But here's a good one.
So I remember. Here's the thing. Do you remember when Mario 64 came out?
Yeah, it blew my mind.
It blew your mind because you were running around.
Yes.
It was 3D space.
Yeah.
And we hadn't really seen that very well.
But when
at
you were
that
12, you
point.
hadn't. When I was 12, so many games have been doing that. It was standard practice. So I thought about showing myself like Rocket League. And I was like, dude, if I showed myself my 12-year-old self Rocket League, it would elicit a shrug. Honestly. I'd be like, yeah, it looks really cool. But I'd be like, that's where I expect after seeing San Francisco Rush 2049 in 1999,
yeah,
20 years later, I expect Rocket League. Like, I expect that. Some that, you know what was one that I really thought, I was like, oh my God. And it's not a game that's like one of my favorite games by any stretch, but I thought this would really fuck up 12-year-old JD, was Outer Wilds. That was not Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds was the game where it was like 17 minutes long, and at the end of 17 minutes, or maybe it's 23 minutes or something like that, the whole solar system would explode. And then you'd wake up on the planet again, and it was a time loop game. And you had to discover what the mystery was of this solar system within those 23-minute segments before everything kept blowing up over and over again.
Yep.
I think that concept, and I think seeing the game with its gravity, that blew my mind a couple years ago. Each of these planets, which were very small, but they had their own little gravity, and you could land on them. They affected the way your ship flew near them with their gravitational pulls. The orbital physics of that were pretty incredible, and I think that would really blow me away. And then I think the one that I would do, and it's so funny, and it was kind of hard to say this because it would only be coming out 12 years later, Skyrim.
Skyrim would blow a kid away back in that day.
Yep. Skyrim would blow us away. I mean, if you hadn't been playing Oblivion, it'd blow you away in 2007. Honestly, like it would be.
I mean, when I played Morrowind in like 2006, I was like, this game is so good. And it had already been out for a little bit.
Yeah. Control is another one that I think I would shrug at, because I'd be like, yeah, that's where I'd expect a game. Control is where I expect all games to be at this point. Just phenomenal, amazing, feels so good. So yeah, I think Valheim or Raft would be the ones that I'd show, just to be like, what do you think? Just what are your questions?
Yeah.
I don't know. Garrett, great question. Seriously, this one was I'm still chewing on it a little bit. Jenna, what about you?
Okay, I had to explore some additional questions with this question, because I began to think about how like that age in particular is pretty like monumental in terms of like discovering that like you don't really want to be a kid anymore, but you kind of want to move towards your own identity. But how do you do that in a world that you don't fully understand? And it made me think about how I think there was a time where I was like, I'm too cool for console video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I was way more into the PC. and browser like games.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember thinking it was like super cool to go to Fry's Electronics and pick out a PC game
Oh, man.
and play that. I think that was around that age time. I mean, my
Yeah.
memory's a little fuzzy, but so that's what I started to think about, was like I just didn't really play on the PlayStation for a while, or because I just thought I was too cool for it, I guess.
That's fair.
A more adult thing is to be on the computer.
Yeah.
All the
That's right.
adults use computers at work.
Yeah.
They never use PlayStations.
Yeah. So I think I would show because I was really into the tycoon games.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Um
I'm never good at those.
I also was played like Neopets and stuff on the browser. I think a few horse games.
So what would be the games you'd show off?
I think I would show off Planet Zoo because
I knew it.
Yeah.
because it wouldn't be like so much of like a spoiler as much to like, hey, keep learning this because like good things are coming. Because I didn't understand that their like video games would have updated releases. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't really a concept that I understood at the time. Like
Didn't exist
it didn't.
back then.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, that looks like fun. It has animals in it. I'll play it. Like I didn't really go much beyond that. And like if I could afford it, yeah.
What would 12-year-old Jenna say if you told her that you'd put 115 hours into Planet Zoo?
She'd be like rookie.
Yeah, probably. Should be like amateur.
Roller Coaster Tycoon. I've got 600 hours in.
Just like whatever week. Okay, this next one came from Abby via email. She asked, if the 3-Bit Gamer Show had a video game, what type of game would it be, and what would each of you, including our co-stars, what would our special powers be? What Easter eggs would be in the game, besides, of course, Crave Cookies and a Limp Bizkit cameo? Obviously. Also, what would be the goal of the game and story, and what genre of music for the game? She wants the whole thing.
This is more like a Dear Game Dev
Honestly, I
question.
feel like Abby started a game development studio and is just outsourcing her first game to us, which is fine.
Abby, what's your studio called?
Come on.
We want royalties just for this game.
You don't
we're
need
about
to be
give
so
you.
coy. We'll come write the game for you. It's totally fine.
You want us to voice act in it?
Okay,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like not a big deal.
Wow,
I can do
thank
like
you.
3 or 4 different characters. One of them's a goblin.
Our only request is that there's a goblin character because JD has 3 voices that he does.
And one of them,
and that's one.
One of them
Yeah.
is a goblin. I'll do this one really quick because I had what I thought would be a perfect fit for the 3-Bit Gamer video game. It is a Stardew Valley clone.
Okay.
All of the 3-Bit Gamer Show hosts live in a town together, and we're all just dealing with our own shit, just like Stardew Valley. We got our own things we're dealing with. Adversity in the town, in our own
JD's
lives.
growing stuff all of the time.
I'm growing stuff. Peterson's just wrangling his kids. In fact, a lot of the missions for Peterson, for example, is finding one of his children like in the town and bringing it back to him. He's like, "Oh, thanks.
Oh no,
looking
I've lost
for-
one of my children
Yep,
again."
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So you get this. This is all coming together. So, but the gameplay loop or like whatever the theme is, because with Stardew Valley, it's like the day-night cycle. With the 3-Bit Gamer Show Stardew Valley game, it's all about the once a week we gotta get together and do a podcast. So then
You gotta plan a podcast.
Yeah, you as the player character can help us do that, and help it to make sure that the podcast goes out once a week, because we have to cobble that together. So for my power, for this game, you feed me candy and I work 50% faster.
Okay.
Peterson's power is if you put him on the video game, it recharges his mental health meter, but you have to make sure to plug him in there like 3-4 times a week or it just bottoms the fuck out. So yeah, that's the game. It's a Stardew Valley podcast production game. You're just keeping this pathetic thing going.
Just it's like that. Do you remember that game dev
Yeah.
game that I played?
Yeah.
It's like that, but planning with the podcast once a week. You're like, okay, how are we going to make this good? And like, yeah, you just got to, like, you've got choices and you're like, oh, we're going to talk about werewolves this week or whatever.
The romance options are fairly limited, because we're all
It's
married.
more like It's more like a co-host options.
Oh yeah,
Who are we
that's a
gonna
good
get?
one.
Which town members are going to be co-hosts?
But I mean,
on the
you
show?
can become friends with us. You can win us over by bringing us special gifts. From me, you bring me a jar of marshmallow fluff, and my affection for
that's
you.
his ultimate gift.
That's my ultimate gift. I can start you, and my affection goes up like 2 dots or whatever if you bring me marshmallows.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's our. What do you guys think? What does the 3-Bit Gamer Show game look like?
Mine's a little bit longer, just because I'll go through it quick. Ours is a JRPG, obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to do like more of a kind of like on our website how we have those characters.
Oh yeah.
It's more like that. So it's a JRPG a la early Final Fantasy games. Okay, so I would be some sort of like jester bard. I have my main ability, like my big ability it's some sort of troll ability that once you activate it, every other character in the battle, all of their abilities get just randomized and mixed up. So it just screws everything up. Could be good, could be bad. We don't know. We'll see how it goes. JD is a rogue druid.
Okay.
So he's a little bit of a mix of classes. He's really stabby most of the time.
Yeah.
But most of his abilities, he uses a lot of herbs to enhance his attacks.
Tight.
And he's obviously
like Geralt.
That's right. Like Geralt.
Yeah.
And he does have wolfhound companions.
Perfect.
With him. Okay, Trent is that like every group has like that buff orc who's like super friendly though. He's like the good orc.
Oh my god, yeah,
really nice,
like the friendly
almost
bear.
like too friendly.
Yeah.
But then you get him in battle. He's just got like a big 2-handed weapon, just clubs things away. But then afterward, he's like all jovial, and he's the one who feeds the party afterwards.
Yeah.
He's like puts on his baker hat.
He's
and he's
a
cooking
baker.
for you.
He doesn't want to be out adventuring. He would rather be baking. That's Trent's.
But
like,
he has
thing.
to. But he comes out with us because he's the buff one.
Dude, this is coming together. We better do a D&D game or some shit.
Jenna is the elf brawler. So she's tiny, but she's got all these quick attacks she takes to take down the enemy.
Okay.
She's very hard to hit, and her special move is obviously a submission that will stun the enemies.
Tight.
Nice.
And then I come in and just stab him on the ground.
Yeah.
And he's like, step. Here's a potion. Take that. Aaron, he's the ranged game master. He uses firearms to attack.
Okay.
But he also makes the enemy engage in little mini games that will, depending on how they do, either buff or nerf them.
He's like a sphinx.
So, yes.
That's awesome.
And then Danny is just a rare special ability character that you can call into the battle for a quick but devastating attack.
Yeah, she brings in tall mommy.
Let's see. The Easter eggs in my game, it would frequently allude to a lost party member of lore, a great hulking barbarian who disappeared one night.
Under suspicious circumstances.
Colin Goblin would show up. The town crier in the town, he's a conspiracy theorist named Jalix Bones.
Okay.
He shows up, voiced by none other than Jonathan Deasing.
Yeah.
Doing his Jalix Bones impersonation.
Jalix Bones.
The Death Moths, they show up. Remember the Death Moths?
Dude, I do remember the Death Moths. That was a different time. We were in a weird place.
Lynn was would be the crazy town cook.
Amazing.
Yes. Let's see. The town pub is called Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And it would be a crazy mix of characters comprised of our most loyal fans.
I like that.
So you just go in there and there's a bunch of wacky people from our Discord in there. And obviously the music would be kind of upbeat chiptune by none other than Mike Weist.
Amazing. We did the whole thing. Abby, you've got now
game.
2 great games to choose from to develop with your studio. Jenna, would you like to give us a game or pass? Oh, sorry, Peterson, were you not done? I'm so sorry.
No, I'm done. Yep,
okay.
I'm done.
Jenna, did you have one or did you want to pass?
I don't know if I have answers to all of the questions because there's quite a few.
Yes.
But I was generally thinking it'd be fun if it was like kind of a linear story in terms of like you could choose your character, be one of us, and we'd play through different gaming times, like retro. So it'd start like retro, and you'd play a level as like a retro game that was important to one of us. And then like during that level, whoever the person that was most important to had like special abilities or something. I don't know. And then once you pass that, then it's like the next, monumental game. And so then you get to play through like all of the games that were like a part of your life. I don't know. I thought that would be cool.
Yeah, so this is I imagine something it would be like one of those games where it's representative of something, like you're going through a mental journey, and like playing through Jonathan's or JD's mental journey would be you're playing a Dreamcast level.
Yes.
And it's very Dreamcasty, and then it moves on to like a different type of game, like level. It's like the evolution of games for each of us.
Yeah.
Dude, I could see that. I'd go, mine would be all about side-scrolling platformers, and then you'd play like one level of AoE, of Age of Empires, and then it'd just be open world games. Just like 3 or 4 in a row. That was like my trajectory, my early thing. I like that. That's fun.
And then we both end on roguelikes.
And then
somehow.
we're just on roguelikes and survival games and whatever the hell. Just all indies. Okay, so here's another one. We've got a recording, actually. I love when you guys leave us recording, especially when we got one from Jacob.
Choo 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 choo. Hey guys, it's Jake from Discord. Hey, it's 7:15 and I still don't have you guys a question. Night before, sweating bullets. Oh my gosh, holy cow, what are we gonna do? So one question, something that I think needs your attention or somebody's attention. So there's this new game. It's the 3rd right now, December, and there's a game that's come out. It's called Midnight Suns, and it's like Marvel superheroes, and they're teaming up like some kind of Avengers or whatever. So my question for you, this is a visual thing. So go in and take a look. Look at Wolverine. Doesn't he look like super sad to you? He looks embarrassed to be wearing whatever they've got him in. Like, his costume's kind of weird anyways, but he's got like filigree on it, and he looks like he's grimacing. I think he's supposed to be snarling or something. Like, and what's up with him not always wearing his costume, right? These string of recent movies, or I think even in the cartoon, sometimes he's just like, it's me, casual outfit Wolverine. I got a jacket and jeans. I don't care. I don't need this superhero costume.
In the middle of it.
What's the point of the costume then? Be consistent with your brand, Wolverine. Know what I'm saying? Who I've got it. If his name was Wolva Jeans, then it would make sense. He's just casual Wolva Jeans. Though it would suck to get killed by a guy named Wolva Jeans, but I'm pretty sure he only slashes robots because it's a kid's show. So no people get slashed in the cartoon. He looks kind of sad. What do you think? Also, Spider-Man's got like some kind of disco ball thing on his head. Anyways, I looked into it. I love me some XCOM. So I like it, but I don't like $60 anything. So I'm going to wait for that Steam sale, baby. Anyways, guys, we'll talk later on Discord. Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
So, Jacob, you're absolutely right on Wolverine or Wolver Jeans. You got to keep in mind, though, the guy's Canadian. So anytime you see him in jeans, he is dressed up. He's in his fancy going out clothes.
Which makes it even weirder. It's like
James Bond, dude.
He's James Bond, essentially like any other X-Men.
He's either in his X-Men
like
costume or he's in what his version of a tuxedo is.
Jeans and a wife beater.
He's like Wolverine would be so confused that you were mocking him when he's wearing jeans. He'd be like, "Dude, I look great.
These are my best jeans.
I went to my brother's wedding in this." What the fuck are you talking about?
Haven't you seen Canadian James Bond? I'm dressed up like him.
Do you think his hairy chest provides more warmth?
I think
Ooh.
his hairy chest absolutely provides an extra layer of warmth.
Maybe he just
Have you
doesn't
seen
need.
how hairy it is?
Maybe he's a little hot that day. He doesn't need an extra. I don't know, clothing.
He can't wear full clothes and go out in the Canadian March in full clothes. He'll die of heat stroke.
It's the expression of the wolf part of the name.
Yeah.
The Wolverine.
So, Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
It's so true.
Dude, and I think he's right that Wolverine does look a little perturbed by.
He got like a scowl, but it's like really downturned, so it looks like he's like he's grimacing or something. Like, ooh.
I just get the impression that Wolverine's like, whenever he's in costume, it's because like someone's dressed him up like a pet. Like,
oh, he's mad that he's even wearing a costume at all.
No, he doesn't want to be in a costume. The guy doesn't even remember who he is. He's not trying to disguise his identity. He only remembers like 4 years of his whole fucking life. What identity is he hiding?
Even if he did remember, like, he wouldn't care. That's not him. He doesn't like any of this.
Yeah, so
don't try to make him conform.
So anytime you see him in a costume, that's why he's scowling. He's like, I fucking hate this. Just like when I put a costume on my dog. I put a shark costume. Looks like a shark is eating my dog. She hates it.
She hates it.
She hates it.
It's like when making me wear a suit coat. I hate it. I hate wearing suit coats. I never do it. I don't even own a suit anymore. I hate it that
It's
much.
like making me wear any sleeved object in the summer. I'm not wearing sleeves.
or a t-shirt that the neck goes up too high.
Oh man. No, I don't want that. Non V-neck shirts, get that out of here. Jacob, thank you. I loved your voicemail. Amazing. I'd also say I did not know this XCOM. What's it called? Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns.
A weird choice of a name for a MCU game or a Marvel game.
I think that's the name of the like crew you're putting together.
Still weird,
but yeah, it still is. That's not immediately
name.
apparent.
And I know comic books fairly well, and I've never heard of that term. Maybe that's a new team. Maybe that's a team I should know. But I didn't know this was $60. This is a tactical game, like you mentioned, like XCOM, where you're telling your superhero, go over here in 3 moves and do this thing and whatever.
And you do your ability, and then it's like a turn-based or a tactical RPG is what it is. So I've been looking at this game for a while. I remember hearing about it about a year ago, and I was like, ooh, that sounds like it could be good, because I do love those types of games. It is a... You know, I have like those genres that I'm like really jonesing to play. I'm like, I really want to play this.
Yeah.
That's one of them. I go through this where I want to play a turn-based tactical strategy
and
game.
The concept for this fits, I think, superheroes, because the idea of superhero teams, like one superhero makes a portal and another superhero kicks the bad guy through that portal. In this game, that type of game, like you could clearly slowly set up the portal, target where your person's going to aim, and then have them kick through that, and like that would be natural, and it would fit this genre.
So yeah, I've been looking forward to this game. So I was actually looking at it just a few days ago, because I do believe it just came out on the 1st, and so I was looking at it a few days ago. Oh man, honestly, the reviews are just okay, and it has some pretty obnoxious bugs at the moment. Or features, which I guess could be a Blurstein nomination, is you open it in Steam and it takes you to 2K's launcher, and you have to launch it from 2K's launcher. And then the recommendation online is legitimately go through this process to figure out how to deactivate the 2K launcher when you're in the game, because it sucks so much of your like power, your processing. And so that's a real problem. So I do want to play this game because he's asking our thoughts about it. Right? I want to play this game. There's a 0% chance I'll play it for $60.
This game, put it on Game Pass.
Oh my god! If this is on Game Pass, I've been playing it already. So yeah, I love this. I want this. I want to play this game. I really, really do. I think it needs a little bit of patching. You know, it just released, and it needs a price reduction. Absolutely. Not paying $60 for this. I can play XCOM 2, which is always lauded as one of the best games in this genre, for like $5 at any given point, if not for free. So
I will be waiting until Peterson plays it. I will not be touching this game on my own. If Peterson says, "Hey, I've been playing Midnight Suns and liking it," then I will check it out.
If I'm like JD will play this if I play it and I'm obsessed
And
with
tells
it.
me to play it. Yeah, I'll play any game you guys tell me to play, but yeah, I just will not be exploring this on my own. Our next question comes from Trey Mishmash on Twitter. He says, honest listener question. What for the love of God happened between you two and Spencer? Are you guys still friends? Did he move out of state? What's going on? This question's been keeping me awake at night for the last 3 or so years.
Me too, Trey. Keeps me up at night too.
Hard to sleep. Dude, I'm sure this is something that people have been wondering, so they're happy to tackle it. It's not that we've been necessarily avoiding it. I don't think anyone's ever asked us before.
Yeah, and I've talked to a couple people on Discord and like personal messages about it. I've had people bring it up to me. And it is so, we'll give the short answer because it is something we could probably talk about for a long time. But yeah, so JD, do you have the short version of it?
Yeah. I would say the short version is that we were as an early stage in our podcast, we went through a lot of changes in production studios where we were recording and who we were working with as a producer. And through all of that shakeup, Spencer ended up in the position where he wanted to found his own podcast studio and produce podcasts. And we were stoked to be part of that. But as we found out, it was too expensive for us. We couldn't afford to record 3-4 times a month in his studio. And so he didn't want to do the conflict of interest thing of recording in our kind of homemade sketchy ghetto studio that we'd set up in my parents' basement. As the owner of a fancy podcast studio, he didn't want to be doing that thing, and so we just kind of decided to go our separate ways because it just didn't work. Does that cover it? I feel like that's
I did, and just as a little background for when he left, because it was very sudden.
Mm-hmm.
I did ask him. I was like, "Hey, Spencer, do you want to do like a farewell episode?" And he was like, "I'm more of an Irish goodbye
yeah,
type of person, like just gone."
Which I respect because that's how I am.
He was just kind of gone. He didn't do like a farewell or a goodbye or anything like that. So Spencer was just gone, and it was just JD and I. And one thing I'll say is opening it up to be like on our own thing, kind of go independent, recording with our own equipment, has freed us up quite a bit to just do whatever we want. Creatively freed up. JD and I would say mesh well creatively,
yeah.
Like the things that we want to do, the things we like to do, and it kind of opened it up for us to just try stuff, be wacky. If it didn't work, we could just delete it. If it did work, we want to make a song parody. Hey, we've got the equipment. We can do that whenever we want, right? And so it did open it up for quite a bit for us, and I think it's been overall a very good move for us.
Kind of look at it a lot like a band you follow, and you like their first 2 albums, and then they kind of change, and one of the bandmates doesn't, and you're like, why doesn't he tour with them anymore? And you're like, it just didn't work out. But like Peterson said, it's fun to mix it up, and we've got it and record with a lot of new people. I think it also made us much more, thankfully, we were a lot more flexible, and when the pandemic hit, we were able to kind of go remote and flex a little bit more that way. So, there's nothing. Did that answer the question? Hopefully that answered your question. It was just, you can check out Spencer's podcast studio. It's called The Pod Mill. I think they're still recording they've got a handful of cool podcasts, and you can check out what he's doing. We're just cheap.
Well,
all right. So the next up is the LL Whoops speed round. So you guys can answer or pass on these questions. LL Whoops, an absolute champion who came in at the last minute and just gave us a bunch of questions just in case no one had asked us questions. So thank you so much for this. First question. What is your best memory of a console launch and why?
You're the console launch guy.
That's me. It's got to be Dreamcast, and it's because out of nowhere, my parents, who weren't really the fashion forward, definitely not the like get the fancy new technology right away for our kids kind of thing. I had a Dreamcast before almost anyone else that I knew, just because my parents hooked it up. And I, for a couple years, was just like on the forefront until the PS2. I was on the forefront of games, and I just gotta play them all, and I just absolutely loved it. I did. I don't know if I've gotten a console at launch. Otherwise, I got the PS2 2 years later. 2 years after it came out, I got the Xbox 360. A year and a half after it came out, I got the PS3. Similarly, a couple years after it came out, PS4 I got a year after it came out, and the PS5 I just got, and that was like it took me a year to get the damn thing. So I think the Dreamcast is my one and only console launch.
Jenna, do you have any?
I don't have any.
console
Sorry.
launch? So the only one that I really paid attention to, because again, I wasn't a console on day one type of thing. 1996, the N64 launched, and I remember because the controller was so wacky, and it was like a new Nintendo console. We were really excited for it, and so I remember seeing it in Toys R Us's before anyone got it for Christmas, and then I had a few friends who got it for Christmas. But so the actual launch, I don't remember like the launch day, but the launch time period, right before the holidays. I remember playing it at Toys R Us. My friend getting one, playing Mario 64 on it. That's the console launch I remember the best.
That I think will probably answer the next question from me, which was on the speed round. In your opinion, what console had the best launch lineup and why? Of the few that I actually remember, I remember the N64, I remember the Dreamcast, I remember the Xbox 360. Those are the only three I really remember, and I think of those, the 64 was probably the best. They launched with Mario 64. Wave Race 64 was right after that. Cruisin' USA. These weren't directly like right when the console came out, but if you could actually get an N64 by the time you actually got one, a lot of these were out. And then I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, let me see when did Mario Kart 64 come out? Because it feels like that was a launch title. 96.
It might have been
6, and this was 96. Yeah. So yeah, that was basically Mario Kart 64 was also a launch title. So yeah, between Mario 64, like Peterson mentioned earlier in the episode, just the mind-blowing nature of that, plus all these racing games and other games that really captured the 3D depth nature of the console and showed it off. I think that was my favorite one.
I agree about the Mario Kart 64, and I think something cool about that console, at least for me, was just the ability to just plop the cartridge in and play the game. Like it was felt extra interactive or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I loved shoving a big cart. I recently told Jenna about the Game Genie. She didn't know about shoving a cartridge into another cartridge. Now that was satisfying.
Yeah, that was the thing.
What game do you think had the best launch and why?
This one's so hard for me.
I got to go with the latest God of War because it came out in the midst, 2018, really at the height of just release shit games and patch them up. I mean, we're still there.
Wait, so technically this isn't you mean God of War 4?
Yeah.
Or God of War Ragnarok?
God of War. It's called
That's
God of War.
now.
But yeah, the 2018
okay.
God of War. I think it just came out super strong. It came out with like no bugs that I know of. And it has kind of stood up to the test of time. I think you could also say the same about Elden Ring. But I think God of War for me really stood out just by it was just, I don't know, it's kind of earth-shattering at the time. Just the whole nature of it being one solid thing with no cutscenes or anything like that. I don't know.
I don't know if I could say like what game had the best launch. I think any game, and we've seen this in the last few years quite a bit. God of War was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Any game that comes out right game, right time. You know what I mean? It comes out bug free. I'd say the latest God of War Ragnarok, is
same
the
deal.
same way. Came out
Polished.
bug free. People are kind of done with Elden Ring. They've played a lot of it, looking for that new experience. Game comes out, sells a ton of copies. Everyone's ready for it.
Mhm.
No big problems. I didn't hear about any major bugs on the game.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the great launches when a game sticks to their date and everyone else has backed off and they're the only game, so they make $1 billion
Yeah.
and the game is well done.
I
You're
think
like,
yeah.
that's it.
I think we could come up. This would be an easier if you'd asked us like 5. Like, what's the top 5? Because I'd say like God of War, Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring. Yeah, I think that would be better because I think if we listed the top 10 in the last 20 years, that would be a very short list. It'd be 10. But I think it'd be an easy list to fill out.
I think it'd be a lot of recent games too,
Yeah.
because you've seen that more games everything getting
delayed and they come out
because
buggy.
10 years ago, everything came out right before Christmas, or they came out like there was like certain time periods when every game would come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the timing of it is a huge deal.
And even Red Dead Redemption 2 would not be on that list, by the way. Like games that are really stand out and games that have been lauded for being stellar games, their releases, like Red Dead Redemption 2 came out without its multiplayer. When its multiplayer did launch, it was fucked and broken. The game itself was not without its own unique Rockstar bugs. So yeah, that's a good question. Next up, this is not a good lightning round. We're going too slow. What game had the worst launch and why? Ooh. Is it Anthem or is it No Man's Sky?
No Man's Sky. It's 100%
No Man's Sky, right?
So bad.
So fucking bad.
Like, I would say that was even worse than that Amazon game that came out, the multiplayer
Holy
shooter.
shit, New World?
That just
the other one.
It is gone. It didn't even last a year.
What was that called?
I can't even remember.
Oh my god.
I would say that No Man's Sky was a worse launch.
Was it Crucible?
Yes, Crucible. Game is gone.
It does not exist. Nothing about that exists. Okay,
but yeah, No Man's Sky is worse because
it was longer.
The game has gotten better and significantly better, but the launch just was so anticipated and so disappointing.
Just like, wow, just shockingly empty. What is the best video game to play at Christmas time and why?
I don't know. I don't have a Christmas time game, I don't think.
I got to bust out the Dreamcast because my friends are coming over and we're pretending like we're kids again. And that only happens around Christmas time. So that's what the best game is. San Francisco Rush 2049 or potentially Toy Commander, just the Christmas level.
Now, I can tell you what I'll be doing this Christmas, though. I'll be playing a few games. I don't have like a specific Christmas game, but I will definitely be playing a lot of Fortnite because I've got kids now. And so they're home, I'm home. Let's play some Fork Knife.
Jenna, what is your best video game for Christmas time? You got one?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Last question comes from Phil on Discord. This is a good finisher. What was your biggest letdown game this year? Or the most recent letdown game you had?
I can do this quick, and it's going to be surprising, but not surprising.
Yeah.
The one that hurts my heart the most is Elden Ring, and the only reason is because I want to play this game and enjoy it, and I know I won't. It looks phenomenal, so it's like a personal letdown because everything about it seems like something I would love, except for the actual gameplay itself.
Yeah.
And so it's just it makes me so sad.
That is a really good one. It's a personal letdown.
I want it. I want to love it, and I know I don't.
How about you, Jenna? What have you had? I think I know. Didn't you have a good letdown earlier this year?
I bought a game off Steam called like World God Box Simulator or something, and it was really stupid.
Yeah, you were let down by that.
I was let down by that.
Jenna usually just goes for like hit. Like she plays all these games and you're like, oh man, that does sound awesome. So yeah,
they can't all be winners, I guess.
Yeah, her getting a miss is pretty rare.
for me, it was Pokemon, and I know it's not out yet, or it's not done yet. I haven't picked it out yet, but I know he listens to this podcast, so I'm trying not to spoil it. I was planning to play it with a younger loved one of mine, and I didn't want to introduce him to a game like this that we're playing together and have it be all broken and janky. I'm used to that. This game breaks. I know why it's breaking. I know how it's breaking. I know how to deal with it. But for a younger kid, like, that's gonna just be like, why is that Pokemon in the wall? I can't see it. I'm confused. I don't want to play this anymore. So that's a huge letdown for me. I was really looking forward to just getting this as a Christmas present for me and him, and being like, let's play this together. I'll get this one, you get that one. To have someone to do that with. And then this is the worst Pokemon release maybe in a decade. And that's a huge letdown for me. Like, I was looking, maybe I'd just buy the old one, the one that just came out before this one. But, such a letdown. All right, let's move on.
Dice of Destiny.
All right, Dice of Destiny is this segment we like to play at the end of every episode. We roll a 6-sided dice to see who's rolling the Dice of Destiny. A 20-sided dice with 20 different game genres assigned to it. That person then rolls another 6-sided dice to see how much money they can spend on their selected game. They find a game in that genre for that price. They pick it, play it, review it. A couple weeks back, Jenna rolled a 1 on the D20 for genre. 1 means you have to roll 2 D20s for 2 different genres at the same time. She ended up with a co-op roguelike, of which there are a number. Metroidvania. Sorry, co-op Metroidvania. And Jenna, what did you pick? What did you play? Tell us the story.
Well, you got roped into it because it was a co-op. So we ended up settling on Guacamelee 2, as recommended by quite a few people, including Peterson. So it's been super fun, don't you think? I feel like the colors are super vibrant, and I love the art, and the tone of it is very quirky and fun, and the music is excellent.
It's dripping with style.
Yeah, it's got a ton of flair going on.
Yes, a lot of flair.
I do feel like it's like was a bit to pick up with at first, like with the controls. But if it being so flexible with 2 people, like if one person goes and escapes to the next level, like you don't have to muster through it. So that's really nice. I like how they've dealt with the 2-player, because I wasn't sure how a co-op Metroidvania would work.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, and we should just briefly touch on this is a side-scrolling 2D Metroidvania. Very reminiscent to other Metroidvanias. And in fact, the upgrading, if you've ever played a Metroid game, is literally a Chozo like statue. That's the exact same Chozo statue from Metroid game, to the point I'm like, how did they get away with this and not get in trouble with Nintendo? And then when you have a co-op, and with a co-op partner, the part that Jenna was kind of touching on is that you can just, as one of the characters, can just turn into a floating orb randomly if there's like a really hard platforming spot, and then just float along with the person that's better at platforming, and then you just like can just join them later. And then that's very forgiving on that, because Jenna, talk about the platforming.
The platforming is like pretty crazy. I think I don't know how to describe this style, but like the 2 dimensions on the same page is trippy and super fun, and the puzzles are just excellent. I really like it. The platforming does remind me a lot of Ori, which is why I think I like that. I do think this game needs to come with a disclaimer for co-op, though, because we literally had to look up how to get co-op set up, because the intro scene has 2 people. So you're like, great, going right into co-op, excellent. Yep. And then the second player disappears. And for like 15 minutes, one person has to play the game until you can finally add in a second player. But at no point does the game tell you that.
Nope.
Or like make you think that at all.
Now that you said that, I kind of remember that.
Yeah, one of the absolutely the number one biggest nit of this game. It is glaringly big. Like, how did they? Because like Jenna said, it at the very start cutscene, the second player is there, and then the cutscene, and then the second the cutscene kind of transitions control to the player, that second player is gone. Having a second player would absolutely do nothing to this. It would have been the easiest thing to add. It doesn't detract from like the story. It's not like the story is telling it specific to a one character. It's just pointless. And we looked up the YouTube video. It's like how to start co-op, and it shows you, and it's going through, and then the video is just commentary on the opening cutscene. That's like, this is how you do it. You just play the first 20 minutes of the game, and it's fucking stupid. And that's the tutorial video. It's pretty funny, but yeah. So that was pretty lame. Jenna, what about the so I thought it was pretty challenging in the first couple hours. I thought
I feel like that's somewhat to be expected with a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
So I try not to get too deterred by that, but I do think it is confusing which direction they would like us to go, because usually it's a little more glaringly obvious, like what areas are blocked off or like where they're trying to encourage you to go. And we just seem to be wandering everywhere. So I don't know if that's intentional, like that's how we're supposed to be playing it, or I don't know. I just feel a little lost in terms of the map. Like right now, the area where we're at, like there's a whole skeleton, and that seems to make a little more sense. Like we seem to be following his body parts a little bit, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Usually in a Metroidvania, you can clearly see which direction is like the sequence break and which direction is the main one, and we never know. We're like, are we sequence breaking? Are we going out of order? We don't know. And then it's like really hard. We backtrack. And we're like, oh, it's actually not that hard. We need to go that way. But I don't know if that's a nit, because it is kind of fun to explore. The gameplay that I found interesting, Jenna and I would be interested. Usually in a Metroidvania, the game is they're when you're walking through an area of the map, you're running into enemies every time, and you get through that area and you kill all the enemies. And if you go back to that area, they're all back. They all respawn automatically. And so as you get stronger, you just ace right through those areas because you can kill those baddies or just avoid them really easy. But at the start, they're really hard. However, in this one, because it's got very much a luchador kind of take, every time you run into enemies, for the most part, is like a boss. So you'll be going through the map and doing the puzzles and doing the platforming, and then you end up in an area of the map, and it just locks the map down, and you have to fight like a couple waves of bad guys in that one area, and then you leave. So, Jenna, having played a lot of Metroids, and I've played a lot, and literally all of them have been, where there's just the enemies that respawn in an area, and then you go through it and you come back and they're there again. This is completely new to me. What were your thoughts on that? Because you've played 4 or 5 Metroidvanias at this point.
Yeah, the enemies honestly feel like more like mini boss battles instead of like enemies or like everywhere that you encounter. And I don't mind that. I do feel like the time that we ran into that save point issue was really frustrating. Yeah. And so having enemies that were like lower level that you can kind of like bash through kind of alleviate some of that frustration of like if you didn't have your save go through, it'd be like, whatever. But because like it was work to defeat the mini boss, like you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my thoughts on that. I do think it was funny that like don't don't go into this game hungry because the references of the amount of guacamole made
Dude.
me so hungry.
Just guacamole based hunger though.
Yeah.
I just want that sticky green goo on a chip now.
Yeah. I was like,
Fuck.
making it sound so good. I need to go find some avocados.
The secret ingredient. Okay, so Jenna, what was your take on this? We got this on sale. Waited long enough, it ended up on the Steam autumn sale or whatever, and it was $5. I think it normally is 20, maybe. Let's see. Guacamelee.
I played it on Game Pass.
Yeah, it is no
long
longer
time
on
ago.
Game Pass. It is normally $20 on Steam. So knowing that, Jenna, what is your assessment? Buy at any price, wait for a sale, or don't buy?
I would say wait for a sale.
And I would say you need a co-op partner to play this with.
I would not
Like,
want to
if
play
you
this
don't
alone.
have a person,
It is.
It's not a. This
slaps.
is a better played with people.
It slaps, and it goes up to 4. And you know what,
Yeah,
Jenna? We didn't
I
talk
played
about
with
this,
4.
but don't you think this would be sick with 4 people?
Oh, yeah. It'd be super fun.
I played with 4.
Yeah, I think the more people you had, the more this would be fun. And I hadn't actually considered that. And the whole flexibility of the co-op partner of how you can just turn into an orb or float. Or if you keep dying, like it doesn't matter if one of you just cannot make that jump, because you can just run into the next room and it'll teleport everyone with you. So I think playing this, I think it's fucking, now that I think about it, really impressive that they managed to make a 4-player co-op Metroidvania. 2-player would be less impressive. 4, where it works and you can just drop in and out. As those additional players, I think they did a fucking good job of this.
I remember my son, when we played it with my youngest son, was pretty young, and so when we would get into a hard fight or something,
he just
hard
out.
section, he'd just pop into an orb and just like
Smart.
hang out.
Smart.
So he didn't lose all his lives or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be a great game with kids.
Yeah. So Guacamelee 2, Jenna says wait for a sale. But yeah, I liked that game a lot. I thought it was dope. So that means we're gonna roll again. We got to roll to see who's gonna be responsible. We're using the Pokemon 2009 State Championship dice. Here we go.
Here we go.
I will be 1-2, Peterson 4-3-4, and Jenna 5-6. Peterson, it's a 4.
All right, give me that 4, dude. I got my own 20-sided
Okay,
dice.
you slap that 20. I hope it's a 1.
Here we go. Dude, I don't roll ones on this. 18.
Oh, that's fun. You get a JRPG.
Yes, I've been wanting to play a JRPG.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty. And dude,
Ooh, I like
JRPG
that.
is off, and you know what's on? Oh my god, I'm so excited! I hope I get this one. Peaceful and relaxing. Ugh.
Yeah,
All the games I get in that genre are just that. Okay, wait.
Yep.
We have to. Do you want to roll your 6-sided?
Yeah, here we go. It's a big casino dice. You see that?
Oh, that's a nice one. That's gonna damage your table.
I got a 3, so $30.
Any more, you would not spend that on a JRPG.
No, I would
That would
not.
be gross
No.
and weird.
Too bad you can't
$30.
buy your 3-bit gamer.
That's what I was
JRPG.
thinking. Why don't you just develop and buy that one that you came up with, Peterson? It sounds
Okay,
sick.
Abby, look, is your studio done making that game that we just talked about?
Seriously, you've had like an hour. We've been on this episode forever.
I know it's not that hard. I'm gonna play RPG Maker.
So let me put
Just
this.
make my own.
Let me put this on the sode on the dock. You rolled a $30 Peterson, $30 JRPG. Cool. So Peterson will have that for us next week, picked, and then he'll have a week or 2 to play it. All right, friends. Thanks for sticking around with us. Also, thank you to everyone that called in or wrote in a listener question. We super appreciate you guys doing this episode for us, so we didn't have to. We do
Thanks,
like
guys.
that.
Finally.
And while you're at it, if you guys didn't notice, we got an episode 300 coming up. We don't know what the fuck to do. You guys got some wise idea? Hit us up. Let us know what episode 300 should be.
Dude, I like that. Yeah, let us know what you think.
I got
we should
no
do.
plans, and honestly, we might not take your idea, but it might kick off something great. We might not do anything at all. We might just pretend like it's not happening. Probably not that one though. So Yeah. Plan another episode, you lazy bastards. Okay. To play us out, we've got some music from Guacamelee 2. Olay. I'm JD, signing off.
This is Peterson going AFK.
And this is Jenna. See you later.
Peterson Productions. Oh, yeah.
Have yourselves a gaming day this Christmas. Tell your boss you're ill. Wear your sweats, grab a snack so you can game and chill. Have yourself a gaming day this Christmas. Mountain Dew flows all night. Eat pizza and get together with the guys. Just like back in our younger days, happy gaming days of yore. Real life friends who you kind of like, staying up all night once more. It'll be years till we all will get together, but that's not so bad. When we're up all night, our wives get really mad. Still have yourselves a gaming day this Christmas. Happy Games, Miss Everybody.